All right, some questions about the little season stuff that we believe. I'm just thinking and trying to figure it out and talking to friends that also believe the same thing, but that we still have questions, right? One of those questions is, how are all of the Millennial Reign buildings flooded? I get any structures before the Millennial Reign being flooded, mud flooded, because of Armageddon, and just seeing how that would be like a very chaotic reset type of event. But what about after the end of the Millennial Reign? Like, where did that flooding event come from? Or, I mean, because I think most of the Millennial Reign structures are pretty flooded, right? They got a whole basement. I don't know. I'm have to look more carefully to see if there's a difference in construction. Because just because there's an underground to the Millennial Reign structures doesn't necessarily mean that they were flooded after the fact. Because I kind of have the hunch that Millennial Reign structures and underground tunnels and railroads were all like a system to get people from city to city, and maybe from city to like beloved city, wherever Jesus was, like wherever he is now, probably, unless he moved, because we don't know if he's in the same spot that he was at when he was Millennial Reign, like visibly and like reachable, or, you know, if he's in that same spot but it's like veiled, or if we're just not allowed to go to that spot, but the evil people that run our world know where it is, but they don't want to go there because that's where Jesus is and that's their enemy. So I mean, all of those are reasonable. It's just the evidence that we can actually see here, the buildings, like how did they get that way? And they could just have basements. Now, I have seen many buildings that definitely something happened, where dirt came from somewhere and butts up right to the window, where, you know, no one would build like that, because you kick a rock or whatever, it's at ground level, or a window breaks and now you're gonna have water pouring into the basement. You just wouldn't put the window right there. A little bit higher up, maybe, but not like halfway between ground and air. That just doesn't make sense. So we know those were flooded. See a lot of red brick structures like that. So part of me thinks the red brick structures were pre-Millennial Reign, just like times of the Bible and stuff. Like, that could literally be from the civilization, you know, during Jesus and before. And I'm sure there's a whole architectural history that we don't know, right? That the controllers probably do know. They probably know what was first. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say the most primitive stuff is first. So like the rock structures that aren't brick, those are probably first. The next are probably like red brick structures, because then they figured, oh, you know, instead of using stone, we could make stones that are easy to work with, that are all the same size, and then we could put this stuff in between and like stack it up and make really big structures. And they did, and they made amazing red brick structures. So I'm not sure. It's kind of confusing. And then like Capitol buildings and World's Fairs, those aren't red brick, right? Are they red brick in the core and then they have a facade? Because I know Satan could have come in and changed a bunch of that. So I'm not real sure what I'm looking at, but I'm trying to figure all that out and get like a timeline working as I research architecture and stuff, just to see, you know, like, are there any more clues there? And then I'm also researching Egyptian architecture right now. I'm trying to put together just some little stuff that I found interesting and try to make a video and post that here soon too, about Egyptian architecture being like all across the world, like not just Egypt. It's like America and everywhere else. They call it something else, right? They call it like Egyptian revival architecture, but it's all from the 1800s and early 1900s. They can just put whatever date they want on it, but it seems to me like it's a cover-up, because they're calling it this special Egyptian revival. And it's like, it could just be Egyptian style buildings all across the world, because maybe Egypt was everyone at that time. You know, maybe it was more like an era, right? So that could be from the time of the Egyptians, and it's just their kingdom kind of covered the whole world. And think about Pangea, because like that theory kind of makes sense to me, that everything was all one landmass at one time, and then after Armageddon and all that, maybe it was all split up and separated, and then Jesus came in and established all sorts of ways to travel between continents, you know, by air, underground, by land, and he had it all built out. And then the millennial reign ended and Satan came in and destroyed a lot of it so that we couldn't use it freely, and so that we couldn't find out how to get to where Jesus is. I think it makes sense to me, right? Like, what's the first thing he's going to do is try to cut contact with that, because he's also going to try to convince everyone that they don't live right after the millennial reign. So that's why they got rid of the adults that wouldn't shut up, put them in the insane asylums, just took their kids, gave them a whole new narrative, put them in orphanages, trained them up, taught them some lies, and then when they have kids, like, the history's gone. They're just, you know, if it's not going to pass from parent to child, it's gone. And if you're not going to teach us true history from true documents, and if you're going to hide all those documents in Vatican libraries and burn books, and all we have is what you say, we're just going to believe what you say, because kids don't know any better. They go, I don't know anything, teach me, you know, what about this, what about this? And they're so curious, and if you just give them the answers, they just accept you. They just accept it. That's why it's horrible to lie to kids, because they believe you, because you're not supposed to lie to them, right? So, but Satan doesn't care. He's all about that. And then the parents play into all that too and lie to their kids about Santa and all sorts of things. And then you expect like your kids aren't going to lose trust in you. They are. They should. You know, anyone else that lies to them, you would hope that they would be like, well, question that person, because they obviously can lie. So now you need to like be aware that they might lie to you in the future. So that's one question I have. And then another one is how in the world do people go from researching God and the Bible and history and then turn Gnostic? What does that path look like? And is it wrong? Like, I don't even know if I know what they believe, because I have some like baseline truths that I won't give up, which are like, God's real, Jesus is real, because I love Jesus, because I love who he was in the Bible. So I kind of like, nobody's going to take that away from me, no matter what they say, because I know that Satan would love to convince me that he's not real and didn't exist, and that I'm not saved. And if I'm not saved, then what hope is there? So I refuse to buy into any of that. So I don't really pursue those avenues of research. But, you know, after I made the last video I made, and after some of the comments I read, and I was like feeling very forgiving, and I like reached out to my mom just to kind of like touch base. It's been probably like 4 years since I did anything but like Ray Rock, which is just like, you know, very happy Mother's Day or whatever, you know, very minimal. Just don't get too personal, because that is very good advice if you have somebody in your life that, I don't want to speak badly of anyone, okay, but if you know, like the kind of people I'm talking about, that they kind of use information to attack you and stuff like that, it's like you don't give them that information, and you don't let them in, because they're looking for a way to cause chaos. And those kind of people, you got to put up a wall and say, no, you're not, this is not an open area that for you to come in and cause chaos. It's just not going to happen. You got to protect yourself from everyone that could be a potential source for chaos in your life, right? And I don't care who that is, right? You don't owe anyone in this life anything. Not to, you know, not to let them have free reign over you and your peace, right? If you have to put a barrier and a boundary between you and certain people, you just do. That's just how it works. Sorry for the hugely loud noise. One of my kids is taking a nap, and so I'm outside just like hanging out until he wakes up. And the car's on so the air can circulate, and it's really loud, but it just quieted itself, so much better. So yeah, how do people get to be Gnostic? Because I was talking to her, because I was like, hey, because one of my sons went to go see her recently, and told me that she's kind of into some weird stuff. But I was like, has she discovered flat earth yet? Has she, what does she think about this stuff? Because she's very, I don't know, into conspiracies, right? And so to me, that tells me she's into truth, because she's like trying to investigate what is truth and then searching for it. So I just wanted to see where she'd landed, and if she'd made it to flat earth and little season. If I'm right? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm totally way off, but I don't think so. Everything about what I believe right now is just, that's all that's left. I don't know what else to believe. Like, that just makes the most sense. But she, gosh, I can't even translate it, because a lot of what she was saying, she used to be a Q follower, so she was so convinced. And I was like, no, Mom, you don't understand. All the presidents, they're all puppets. You cannot trust them. And she's like, no, he is different. And I'm like, oh no, okay, all right, well, maybe you're right. I don't know, because like, you can believe that, that's fine. I mean, time will tell, right? But just, you need to always be aware that you could be wrong, and that they could be deceiving you. If Satan's not a deceiver, what else is he? He's a liar too. So we have to be aware that we could always be deceived, and always be willing to look at what we believe and challenge it, because we could be wrong. It sucks to be wrong, but we've done it before. We can handle it. We're just trying to figure out the truth. We have to be willing to challenge all of our beliefs. So she follows like archaics, which I listened to him one time, or I was actually already following him, but I don't watch his stuff. His topics are interesting to me, but I could not tolerate the cadence of his voice. And that's often the reason I don't listen to a lot of people when their topics sound interesting, but then I go to listen to it and I'm like, I can't. So I don't know if it's discernment or just like my OCD. Like, there's just certain things, like, or I just don't feel like that's real. I don't feel like they're being real. There's something there. I can't trust this person. I don't want to listen to it. So I might just have good discernment, or some people just might get on my nerves, and I might be blocking myself from information that could be good. And if that's the case, then God will have to send me that information in another person, because that person, I don't particularly enjoy their delivery style. So I don't enjoy his delivery style, so I can't listen to him. Have any of y'all listened to him, and like, what does he believe? Because I tried to ask her, and she's saying like he believes, and when she says he, she means I, because she was like, sorry, he's read way too many books, he has too much knowledge, basically. So she's saying he's right, so he's got to be right, because he's read all these books and he has all this knowledge, so he has to be right. I'm like, first of all, how do you know his knowledge is correct? Second of all, how do you know you're not being deceived? But I didn't say any of that, because I'm trying to get information, just trying to find out what she believes right now. Because I can't change anyone's beliefs. I already know that. But I might be able to ask some questions that might get her to look at what she believes. Because to me, it sounds like this archaics guy does not believe in Jesus. And if he does, he believes in some really bad stuff about him. She said something like, something vague. She didn't give me any conclusions, but she said, Jesus standing in a garden with a naked boy, like, that should be enough to tell you something. I'm like, what do you mean? Where are you getting this? And who said that happened? And who said anything about that? That's just, what are you going to just assume the worst? I mean, it's Jesus. Like, did you not get the power in his message when you read the Gospels? Have you read the Gospels? Like, that doesn't sound like my Jesus, and I don't know where you're getting that information from, but she's just like, she's easily misled. So, like, there's certain types that could just easily stumble into a cult. I might purposely join one if it was one that was like self-sustainability, Bible only. You know, we're not going to do electricity, we're not going to do Wi-Fi, we're not going to do computers, we're not going to do phones, we are going back to the basics. Like, you can call that a cult, but what would be the real name for it? I don't even know. Just like Native American lifestyle group, something like that. Like, I'd be down with that, but I'm not the type that's going to get sucked into something, because I don't trust people. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to just fall for anything. I'm going to challenge everyone and everything, just ad nauseum. So what do you think about Archaics? What does he believe? It didn't sound good. It sounds like it's a Gnostic type of belief, and I don't even know what that is. So help me out if you've got any information about it, because I'm curious.